Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee. Good morning to each of you. This is my first show of the week. I've had a very busy week in the debris removal business that I own, and it prohibited me from being able to come at you. Well, I'm here this morning, and I have a few things that are on my heart to talk about. So, number one, the death of Rob Reiner. So I'm going to give you my take on that and on President Trump's comments. I think Rob Reiner was an absolute asshole. He was he was a raging lunatic liberal. He was anti-Trump, anti-conservative, said some really nasty things about all of us who are conservatives. He did not mince his words, but you know what? He was a human being, and he was killed. Him and his wife were killed. I can't think of a worse death than being stabbed multiple times by your own son. I have a son that is around the same age, and I can't imagine being stabbed by my own son. It's absolutely terrible, and Rob Reiner was a human being. My sincere thoughts and prayers do go out to the Reiner family, and may both him and his wife rest in peace. Now let me address our president, Donald Trump. So there's no I'm absolutely, if you follow my show, you follow me at all, you know I'm a strong conservative Republican and a supporter of President Trump's ideas. I do have some personal opinions on him that, aren't favorable, but I do think he is an effective president. He's an effective leader. What he did this week with his comments on the Reiner's death is one of the absolute most disgusting things I have ever seen, ever heard. I am extremely disappointed. It doesn't change my support for him as president. It does give me a glim picture of him as a human being. I know that he's a very unique person. It has worked for him, but how the fuck does any human being think that it is okay? And not to mention being the president of the United States. You are the president of the United States. It is absolutely disgusting for you to conduct yourself in this way. When two American citizens, I don't care what he has said about you. I don't care that he hurt your feelings. Now, he said some nasty things about you. And you know what? Here's the main thing that I'd love to tell Donald Trump. He won't listen. He doesn't listen to anybody. And why would he change now? He's 80. But this is a lesson for the rest of us. You don't have to have an opinion. There's no law that says you have to have an opinion on every fucking thing. The proper response would have not even said anything about how he was. Good morning, Britt. How he was, how Rob Reiner was, how he treated you, and he made Rob Reiner's death about himself. How disgusting is that, President Trump? I'm just so disappointed in you. But here's a proper response. I have been briefed about the Reiner's death, and I am extremely sorry that this happened. Something like that. That's what a president should have said. And why do you have to go into and make it about him? But that's the biggest flaw with President Trump is he makes everything about him. That's who he is. Even though he's an effective president, though I support him as president, he does make everything about him. And it's not about you. These are two human beings. Like I said, I think Rob Reiner was an asshole. I think he was a raging lunatic. But you know what? He's a human being. And he was a father who was killed by his own son. It just doesn't, to me, get any worse than that. And for you to capitalize and to gloat, and knowing what our country just went through 3 months ago with Charlie Kirk being killed. Now, he didn't celebrate Rob Reiner's death. He just said, I didn't like him. He was a fucking asshole. And he didn't say, I'm glad he died. He didn't do that. He didn't gloat. He didn't. But still, as the president or anybody, you just go back to, I guess, what our moms used to say. You can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. The old cliche, the old saying. It's a terrible thing to do, and I'm disappointed. But here's the other thing, President Trump. What are you doing to the rest of us? What are you doing to people like me? I'm gonna make this about myself. I defend you. Not only do I defend you, my job's not to defend you. I'm a commentator. I'm a podcaster, and I talk about politics and my disgust for liberals and pro-conservative. But what do you do to us? What are you doing to the rest of us? You got us working without a fucking net over here. When you do things like that, how do we defend? Not you. I'm not going to ever defend you as a person. I'm going to defend you as a president. I'm going to defend you as a Republican, as a conservative. But you got us working without a net over here. You expect, when people go against you, you go after them. And I'm not an MTG fan, but look what you did to her. But you expect all this loyalty. Where's the loyalty to us? Where's the loyalty to the people that you expect to get on podcasts and get on platforms and support you and defend you? Where's your loyalty to us? Because when you do things like you did with the Reiner's death, that showed that's not being loyal to us, because what that does is, again, you have us working without a net. You take our credibility away. So all you're doing is hurting the movement. You talk about the MAGA movement, you're hurting the MAGA movement. So don't make it about yourself. So that's my take on that. Now I want to move on to Kash Patel. So with this, the latest fumble, I did, when it comes to public information and law enforcement, I can speak very educated on that topic. That was part of my duty in the command position that I held. I did public information. Went to a lot of training, did it a lot. And let me tell you where we're failing. And the mainstream media and all media really is to blame for this. And really, now who's to blame is the leaders who are succumbing to the pressure of the mainstream media. See, what happens is everybody expects information immediately. And I'm going to get more in depth in this Sunday night in my full show. And everybody expects information absolutely just immediately. And it just sometimes doesn't work that way. Number one, where I blame, Pam Bondi, I think, is a disaster. I think Pam Bondi needs to resign. She's an absolute disaster. I'm not saying that right now with Kash Patel, but he has got to make some changes. So, when I was, we were the largest law enforcement agency in our area. And a lot of times we would be called in to help smaller agencies. And something that I always said, and especially if it was something that was being not handled maybe how we would have from the beginning, I would always caution our agency and say, hey, hold on. Let's not get too involved in this just yet. Let's support them. Let's help them. But when we completely take it over or give that appearance, we're owning the incident. And when you own the incident, you're now responsible for the entire thing. And I would be real cautious. I was protective of my bosses and I was protective of our agents. Like, hold on now. Let's not go own this incident because we don't have full control. But when you give the perception of full control, then now you own it. So what Kash Patel does is he goes and owns every incident. This had nothing to do with the FBI. We don't have a national police force in the United States of America. It's not designed that way. But the FBI, under this administration, I think with good intentions, jumps into everything. They should be assisting with this Brown University shooting. But there were some failures from the beginning with Brown University, with their administration handling. Universities are very unique with in not a good way. You've got presidents of university that are controlling the police department. Well, that's a fucking disaster because most presidents of university are fucking incompetent when it comes to emergency operations. But they think they have to micromanage it. They're incompetent when it comes to that. They're academics. They haven't been that real world emergency experience. So let the emergency responders handle that. Well, what was happening was they were giving the public information out. And then you had Kash Patel tweeting, get off the fucking Twitter, Kash Patel. You're giving misinformation. You know, where the mainstream media is really what we have to make them understand. And like I said, I'm going to get more in depth with this about how we have to do better as law enforcement agencies with this public information is you've got to set the scene from the beginning. This is how we're going to do things. We're going to give updates here. So it doesn't look like you're not cooperating. You're trying to hide anything. You're not being transparent. But when you're just constantly, there's going to be contradictory information all the time in any emergency situations. I've been involved in those. So don't give too much information too fast. But Kash Patel wants to be the first with the most. Get off fucking Twitter, Kash Patel. And Donald Trump, get off of fucking Twitter. And concentrate on what you're good at, because both of you are good at a lot of things and doing some good stuff. But you're shooting yourself in the fucking foot and you're shooting your agencies in the foot. And Kash, you wonder why now you took over a fucking mess and a toxic agency and people coming after you. All you're doing is giving them ammo. Just like Donald Trump, you're giving ammo to the filthy animal liberals. Fucking stop. Both of you, get off Twitter and fucking stop. So I'm going to get on to Mama Luke of the day. This is absolutely this will tell you why we have problems in law enforcement right now. What a fucking disaster. What a fucking clown. Brian O'Hara of the Minneapolis Police Department. How can this guy, I don't know how he could be a policeman anywhere doing anything, much less police chief of a large agency. What a fucking clown. What a mama. Let's listen to him for a second. He's hard to listen to. We got to listen to him for a second.
Church this morning as we are approaching Christmas. And I cannot help but think of what is happening in our city today and how that echoes with how outsiders have been treated for thousands of years, how Mary and Joseph themselves were considered outsiders and forced to stay in a barn.
So you fucking clown, you fucking Mama Luke, you are really comparing Somali immigrants who a lot of them are coming to our country to fraud it, to live off it. We don't. I covered a lot last week about the Somalians, what they're doing to this country, and you're going to compare them to Mary and Joseph? I think you're an absolute insult to a Mama Luke. But you are Chief Brian O'Hara. You are absolutely Mama Luke of the day. I should be here tomorrow morning. Plan on being here tomorrow morning. I do have another busy day, but I absolutely plan on it. I'll probably get a little more into maybe details of this. But Sunday, I plan on having a panel and covering more about public information and how we are failing and how law enforcement agencies are opening themselves up to criticism. I'm trying to bring a panel in of some experienced chiefs and some public information officers and talk about that. But until tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, remember, nobody's coming to save you. And the world does not give a fuck. McGee is out.